is to circle back to October 7th with dperry, who's live now from Tel Aviv. Thank you, Dan, former Associated Press chief editor for Europe, Africa, the Middle East. We wanted to get your perspective today. We've been talking to you throughout the war here for the last 2 years. October 7th in Israel. What's it like today?
Look, it's bizarre because obviously there's a somber mood in the country remembering what happened, but also it's a quite unsettling pivot point where there's a tremendous binary on a table. It could go either of two dramatically different ways. And one way, one finds an end to the war, return of the hostages, a resolution of sorts for the people of Gaza, and maybe good things in a region in the direction of peace, with Israel perhaps achieving normalization with Saudi Arabia and other countries. And if Hamas says no, then the other way lies a real quagmire where, as was said on your show, probably Trump will wash his hands of this matter and unleash Israel to do what it feels it must. And that probably, in the perspective of the current government of Israel and Netanyahu, would mean a full-scale takeover of Gaza, military administration of over 2 million people, a long-term insurgency in all probability, and a sacrificing of the hostages. It is very tough to take. And the fact that a terrorist group controls this pivot with this decision, whether to accept Trump's condition of disarming or not, is most unsettling, and in my personal view, is the result of a cascading series of miscalculations by Israeli administrations and a lot of weakness by the Americans as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's so crazy when you think about it, right? It's all lies. It's up to Hamas, essentially. You're right. What are they going to decide? The terrorist group that started the whole thing.
And here's the thing. When the negative scenario where Israel invades Gaza and takes over full-scale occupation of Gaza is an empty threat, because one version of Hamas, not all of them, maybe not external leadership of Hamas, but the internal leadership of Hamas, the hardliners, they welcome this. This is indeed a walking into the trap they set for Israel on October 7th, 2023. They want this because one of the major misunderstandings in the world is that Hamas is some kind of resistance group against occupation. It's not true. They want Israel to reoccupy the territories. They want this one state binational quagmire that will be in civil war. This is their strategy. And if they say no today or this week and Israel invades Gaza, they're that much closer to achieving that outcome.
That said, President, by the way, has met today with Don Alexander, the American hostage who's been free from Tenafly, New Jersey, at the White House. That said, I've asked just about everybody this. Even Geraldo was talking about it, and he has a lot of experience in the region too, but obviously so do you, going back for years and years covering this. Does it feel different this time?
Look, it does feel like, despite the cataclysm that has occurred these past 2 years, I mean, it's hard, given the scale of human suffering, to speak of a silver lining or a positive outcome. But if the war is over, there is a possibility that some good things attached to it. For example, it does appear the Arab world has figured out that these militias controlled by Iran, undermining the sovereignty of the swath of Arab countries, and also of the Palestinian Authority in the form of Hamas and Islamic Jihad, that these are bad things. And it looks like the Arab world is prepared to delegitimize them. And also, I believe in Israel, alongside the skepticism that they can never trust the Palestinians again, there is an understanding that the notion that you can just sort of ignore the Palestinian problem and assume it's going to go away is a losing proposition. So there is a scenario where the war ends, Hamas is gone, Hezbollah is weakened, Iran is weakened. The Iran chaos project in the region is perhaps starting to wind down, and maybe, especially if Netanyahu is replaced in Israeli elections that have to be held in a year or so, you will see a reconstitution of efforts to achieve some kind of accommodation.
So we can at least have some hope for the best or the best case scenario. Dan, we always appreciate your experience, especially on a day
The
like
least
this.
bad case
It's
scenario.
always the least bad, right?
It's
There,
not
that's what that's
inconceivable.
is the Middle
Yeah.
East, right? That's what they say. Dan Perry, thank you, sir.